Hello viewers, welcome to my YouTube channel. You are watching Tech Fires. And in today's video we are about to see, top 5 open world games for low-end PC, which has a larger map than GTA 5. These games can be playable on 2GB RAM PC without a dedicated graphics card. Most of the games mentioned in this video are underrated. That is, you might have not heard about this game. If you want to see more underrated games, comment below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. So, without wasting time, let's get started. The first game which we are about to see is Noire. Noire is a game created by the Rockstar company in the year of 2011. The game's storyline is set in the years of 1990 and its map size is equal to that of GTA 5, and this game has won the BAFTA Games Award for Original Score in the year 2012. The storyline of this game is, amid the post-war boom of Hollywood's golden age, a newly minted officer Cole Phelps embarks on a desperate search for truth in a city where everyone has something to hide. Utilizing revolutionary facial animation technology, Noire blends the breathtaking action of chases and shootouts with true detective work, including interrogations and clue-finding for an unprecedented interactive experience. That is, we play as Cole Phelps in this game, who is a detective in the year of 1990 in Los Angeles. Noire is an open-world action game played on the third-person perspective. The player completes cases to progress through the story. The game also has a feature that allows players to free roam. This world features multiple landmarks that are similar to the real world. The game starts with a uniformed patrolman to an investigator. The game blends with investigation elements with fast-paced action sequences including chases, combat, interrogations and gunfighting. The player can use melee attacks and firearms to attack the enemies, and in combat, the auto-aim and cover system can be used as assistance against enemies. The player can directly go to the destination by nominating their partner as their driver. The player can also ask for directions to their partners. In addition to these, the game features the player to engage in an optional crime investigation known as street crime. During the investigation, the player can believe them, doubt them and even accuse them for lying. If the player accuses them for lying, they must submit proof for the interrogations. During free roam, the player can find golden film reels, discover landmarks, collect badges or just cruise listening to music. So, definitely worth a try. The next game we are about to see is Driver, San Francisco. Driver, San Francisco is an action-adventure racing video game and the 5th installment in the Driver series. Developed by Ubisoft Reflections and published by Ubisoft, it was released in September 2011 for the PlayStation 3, Wii, Xbox 360 and Microsoft Windows, with an edition for Mac OS X in March 2012. The game sees players traversing a fictional version of San Francisco and the Bay Area, conducting missions through the use of licensed real-world cars, with the ability to shift into any car in the game setting in most platform editions. The game's main story sees players controlling John Tanner, a police detective, who falls into a coma pursuing his nemesis Charles Jericho following a prison breakout after the events of Driver 3, and finds himself piecing together his plan in a dream world while it is happening in real life. This game was delisted in 2016. A new feature is Shift, which allows Tanner to teleport from one car to another without discontinuing the mission. One of the inspirations for Shift comes from Google Earth. 6. The game was also described as a return to the roots of the series, as the ability to get out of the car, which was introduced in Driver 2, was removed and replaced with the ability to teleport into other cars, as the developers felt that too many games had this kind of feature already and it wasn't desirable to just copy that exact mechanic. With Shift, the player can also start missions. As well as the ability to use Shift, all cars are equipped with a boost feature, requiring the player to push up on the left thumbstick to use it. Players can also push L1 on the PlayStation 3 or the left shoulder button on the Xbox 360 version of the game to perform a special ram attack on cars. The Film Director mode, which was absent from Parallel Lines, also returns, and players can share their videos on the Driver Club website. The game runs at 60 frames per second. The storyline of the game is John Tanner undergoes successful surgery. Criminal Charles Jericho escapes from a Turkish hospital and flees back to the United States. Following this, Tanner and his partner Tobias Jones manage to locate and arrest him in San Francisco. On the day of his trial, Jericho stages a breakout from his prison convoy, overpowering his guards and eliminating the police escort. While monitoring the convoy's route, Danner and Jones witness the breakout and pursue him after he takes control of the prison van. As Jericho ambushes the men attempts to run them down with the van, Danner escapes into a street with heavy traffic that results in a devastating crash, putting him in a coma. Moments later, Danner awakens in his car with Jones, with things seemingly normal. The next game we are about to see is Border Officer. Border Officer is a first-person simulation game inspired by Papers, Please, in which you play as a border agent for the fictitious Stavernska Republic, a country mired in economic problems and disputes with its neighboring nations. Your mission, as well as doing your job, is to try to support your family. The game begins at your character's home, with his wife, son, uncle and mother-in-law. The first thing you have to do is choose how to get to work, but keep in mind that each mode of transportation costs a different amount of money. And once you get to the office, the real action begins. In this game your job is to check travelers' papers and documents as they try to enter Stavernska. If all their papers are in order, you can allow them to enter the country, but you'll have to deny them entry into your homeland if you find any inconsistencies, which sometimes isn't as simple as it sounds. On the second place of the list we have Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0 is an action-adventure game set in an open-world environment and played from a third-person perspective. The game takes place from December 1988 to January 1989, in Kamurocho and Sotenbori, fictionalized recreations of Tokyo's Kabukicho and Osaka's Dotonbori areas respectively. The player controls series protagonist Kazuma Kiryu and recurring character Goro Majima, alternating between the two at predetermined points during the story. Players can freely walk around Kamurocho and Sotenbori, interacting with people they meet to trigger side quests, battling enemies who attack them on the street, or playing several mini-games, including fully playable versions of Sega arcade games such as Outrun, Super Hang-On, Space Harrier, and Fantasy Zone. Completing certain objectives, such as eating every dish at a restaurant or reaching a target score in a minigame, will also grant the player special completion point currency. These completion points can be spent at a shrine to receive additional bonuses, such as special items or character upgrades. Money is more liberally awarded in Yakuza 0 than in previous entries, with every heavy attack causing enemies to drop cash. The player can lose their money if they encounter a special enemy called Mr. Shakedown, huge men who are far stronger than normal. If the player is beaten, they will lose all their cash, but can beat the enemy again to earn back their money. On top of the list we have Saints Row, the third. Saints Row, the third is an action-adventure game played from the third-person perspective in an open world, such that players explore an unrestricted environment. Similar to the premise of the previous Saints Row games, the player's goal is to lead the 3rd Street Saints gang to overtake its rival gangs in the city turf war. While the protagonist is the same, the game introduces a new setting, the city of Steelport, with its own 3 gangs, the Morningstar, Luchadores, and Decker, together known as the Syndicate. To further complicate matters, the government's special tactical anti-gang unit is summoned to quell both organizations. The third is the first in the series to intertwine the narratives of its 3 gang structures, and also presents the player with story-altering decisions. The series has historically been considered a clone of Grand Theft Auto that later positioned itself as more gleefully silly in comparison. In combat, players select weapons from a weapon selection wheel, including regular pistols, submachine guns, shotguns, and rocket launchers alongside special weapons such as UAV drones and a fart-in-a-jar stun grenade. Player melee attacks include running attacks such as DDTs and a purple dildo bat. Players may use vehicles to navigate the city, including a hover jet known as the F-69 VTOL and a pixelated retro game tank that are unlocked through story missions. Once special vehicles are unlocked, they are an unlimited supply and can be delivered directly to the player character's location. Player actions are intensified with what Volition calls the awesome button, where for example the player will dive kick through the windshield into the driver's seat of a car. The main story campaign missions can be played alone, or cooperatively either online or via system link offline. Some elements are added to the campaign for the second player. There is no competitive multiplayer, but a wave-based survival mode called Horde Mode that supports up to 2 players. So, definitely worth a try.